everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a tarot spread and a reading that I will do on menopause as metamorphosis. Now this was inspired by a video that I actually watched only today by Catherine Betteridge. It was titled Menopause, the Secret They Don't Want You to Know, and I will link that in the description box below. And I found that really moving. I found that video so well done and like it spoke to me so well. I am turning 46 this year and I've just started to feel the ripples of this incredibly transformative time in my life. A time that is often portrayed in an incredibly negative light, not just culturally, but for me it seems that I see in so many women just really struggling with this time and almost like they're going against it. They're going against the energy of what this transformation really calls from us. And I'm not here to judge because I myself have felt the stirrings of this power, but at the same time the incredible rage that's come with it. And I've got my own thoughts on that, and perhaps I might touch upon that as I do my tarot reading. So Catherine in her video talks about how the initiation of menopause demands the deepest truths to rise. Those are her words, word for word. She also talks about how this transition is so empowering, and it leads to the removal of blocks to intuition. It's kind of like a lifting of the veil. And what I mean by that, actually, I was talking to a friend of mine who's a naturopath only a couple of weeks ago, and she talks about the lifting of, I believe it was the estrogen veil. I don't know which one is which, progesterone or estrogen. I think it was estrogen, but basically it's kind of like, you know, in our younger years when we put so many other people first. And that's great. Like, I'm not saying that's a negative thing, because caring and looking after others is such a beautiful thing to nurture another human being. But there comes a time in menopause where the need shifts towards us in our own internal world. And so I was talking to her about this lifting of the veil. And I think Catherine also touches upon that. You know, like there's this portal that opens up, and it can be incredibly frightening, I suppose, in a sense, because, you know, what are we staring at as our biological, I guess, reproductive cycle is coming to an end. You know, what lies on the other side. And so I'll link that in the description box below if I haven't already said so. I do encourage you to watch it. It's only 15 minutes. If this is something that you're interested in, if you're struggling, you know, with menopause, no judgment whatsoever, I would highly, highly recommend watching this video. For me personally, this started a couple of years ago, these kind of ripples that are becoming like waves. You know, they kind of rise up and everything's a bit turbulent for a while, or really intense, and then they kind of draw back, and then there's like the calm where I process everything and I'm like, right, this is what I need to do. And in the last couple of years, well, this year in particular, actually, I should say, I've made some significant changes in terms of alcohol consumption. I've almost eliminated that. I still drink, but I would say that I drink maybe like 5% of what I used to, like mainly social occasions. Diet, I'm still tweaking that. And the last one to tackle is exercise. And they have helped me tremendously, I have to say, particularly drinking. That's been like the difference between day and night. Anyhow, so I watched Catherine's video today, and like as I was watching it, the need to create a spread came up. I'm sure there must be versions of this spread that many women have done before me. This is just what sort of these are the questions that have come up for me. I'm going to go through these questions. There are 8 of them, so 8 cards, 1 for each question. Then I shall shuffle, connect to spirit, and we'll get into the reading. I will say that it took me a while to decide which deck will I use for this reading. It's an important reading for me. And I've looked at all of my collection, all 100 and plus decks. I don't know if it's 120 or 150 anyway. And you know what? I came back to the very first deck that I bought. So for this reading, I'll be using the Universal Rider-Waite Smith. I just, I guess it feels like I'm coming back full circle to when I got this deck so many years ago. So anyway, the questions are, number 1, what deep wisdom emerges? Number 2, what is the most authentic version of myself? 3, how do I walk my path with authenticity? 4, what am I reclaiming? 5, what is needed to help the mother prepare for the journey of the crown? So this came up while she was talking about, like the different phases that we've got: the maiden, the mother, and the crone. So the maiden is like spring, the mother is summer, and the crone is winter. But we are in menopause, we are in the autumn season, which is like called, I believe, Maga. And I wanted a card that shows as like a bridging card, it shows like the bridge between mother and crone. So that's 5. 6, what am I no longer willing to compromise on? 7, who is my guide for this initiation? And 8, what lies on the other side? So with that being said, allow me a few moments to shuffle, to connect with spirit, and then we'll do the reading. First card, what deep wisdom emerges? The 6 of Swords. The ultimate card of transition, isn't it? Moving from turbulence through to peace. Moving to calmer waters. Moving to the shore that I've always longed to reach. Second card. What is the most authentic version of myself? The Hierophant. Wow. To me, this is the card of the teacher, a teacher of the occult, a teacher of the mystery. It's interesting because only last weekend I actually did a tarot workshop. It was called Tarot is Muse. And I taught about tarot at an art studio, and it was incredible to be able to do that. I absolutely loved it. I had some amazing students, and we finished by creating our own card, drawing it, painting it. Being in an art studio, we had everything at our means to do so, collage. And for me, I think the realization came that that is something that I just love to do, but I still have so much to learn. But in any case, this is the most authentic version of myself as being a teacher and sharing the knowledge that I have learned. So I think it puts me out there in the world as opposed to being a hermit. Which, I often say, I'd love to live somewhere in a cave, somewhere far away. Number 3, how do I walk my path with authenticity? The sun. Oh, I love this. I love this so much because, you know what? So often I have dimmed my light. And I have dimmed it because I could tell that it made other people perhaps jealous. I could feel, like other people just, they carry this shade over them and can't understand. It's almost like they can't understand why someone has zest for life and fire in their belly. I love to see the sun here. Like, this is just, the spread is incredible for me so far. So anyway, I'll keep on moving. But, walking my path with authenticity also states, because the sun is like, if you think about, I'm going to put my astrologer hat on and talk about the sun and what it stands for in astrology, and it's like your core. The sun is your vitality. It's what you need to be in order to be your most authentic self, right? Your sun sign. And it's your personality. It's like, so in a sense, it's a saying, you gotta just be yourself on one hand, and on the other hand, it's also talking about vision and light and warmth, all the things that the sun gives us. So this is how I walk my path with authenticity. Number 4, what am I reclaiming? Let's move these up a bit. 5 of Wands. What am I reclaiming? I'm going to have to think about that. To me, this speaks about change, and it's a fire card, right? Wands are fire. Number 5 is a card of change. And this is about being in a group. But in tarot, this group is not cohesive. All right, so I think that there's a message in there for me in terms of what I am reclaiming. Number 5, what is needed to help the mother prepare for the journey of the crown? 3 of Pentacles. This is about authentic work, right? Because the 3 of Pentacles is the card of the master, the master craftsman at his work. So it's a card of pragmatism and groundedness, being grounded. That's Pentacles in a nutshell, and being practical. But it's also about pursuing our craft, pursuing our vocation, right? And getting good at that. This is not a superficial card of work. This is like your calling, or my calling, really. It's kind of telling me to keep putting time and dedication into my path. Okay. 6, what am I no longer willing to compromise on? This is literally the card of give and take, right? The 6 of Pentacles. You know what? I think this is about, the 6 of Pentacles, okay, it's a card of charity. It's a card of giving. I was talking about giving in our younger years, so much of us to others. And I think this is basically being discerning in terms of who I give my time and resources to. Recently, I actually had a rather unsavory experience, and part of that was my fault. I lost a friend, but this is that menopause rage that comes up. And when I say rage, I mean rage. I had allowed something to go on for far too long in a friendship that didn't sit right with me, and then one day I just let it all out. And I have a very sharp mind and an even sharper tongue when I need to. I'm kind of actually, right now, I'm working to soften the Queen of Swords. That's a different story. But, and I just told this person exactly what I thought of what they were talking about. And yes, in an ideal world, I would have raised this calmly in a rational manner much sooner. And this is a lesson for me to learn, to speak sooner rather than later. Don't let things accumulate. But and because of the way that I did it, I lost a friend. But I'm no longer interested at the same time of having friends with people that do not align, right? That don't share my energy or vision. I'm not interested in conspiracy theories, not interested in, what's happened geopolitically, not because I don't care, but for me, the greatest work is the internal work right now. It's not out there in the world, it's inner work. And I've got a lot of that to do. So anyway, back to the question. I love to diverge. What am I no longer willing to compromise on? Well, I'm no longer willing to give people my time and resources unless I consider them to be worthy. That doesn't sound right, being worthy. Sounds like I'm kind of like coming from a place of being high and mighty. But just unless they align with, my path. And my path is, menopause is just such an intense time of transformation, of changing paths. So yeah, anyway, that's card number 6. I kind of feel like this is so on the money. Number 7, who is my guide for this initiation? The 4 of Pentacles. So, who is my guide? I would say if this was a person, it was someone very grounded, very, very grounded and practical. I would also say, because I'm into working with nature spirits, although I'm only touching the surface, but I'm looking at, the earth spirits, because Pentacles is the earth. I'm seeing this as someone who is apart from the city or the civilization, that they're kind of like separate from that, but they're very grounded and earthy as a person. Someone who is resourceful and appreciates resources, right? But I also think it's a hint to me that that's something that I will be helped to embody those attributes. Number 8, what lies on the other side? Ooh, the card of synchronicity. Unexpected synchronicities. 8 of Wands to me is like a card of, like, this is where the magic happens. To me, when the 8 of Wands pops up, things happen swiftly, unexpectedly, super positive, and yeah, it carries a touch of magic, of like synchronicities. So I feel like once I process everything I gotta process and go through everything that I've gotta go through, things are gonna start really picking up and happening. So, and last card is the Knight of Pentacles. Lots of grounding I'm picking up. You know, we've got 3 Pentacles cards here. Very interesting. But of course, the majors are like kind of like the big energy. The most authentic version of myself. May I never forget that. And also, how I walk my path with authenticity. May I never forget that either. Being myself, literally the sun. And also carrying that zest for life that I've often dimmed around other people. It's almost like, you know, if you're born a beautiful woman, you gotta make yourself ugly because other people can't handle it. Or if you're born smart, you gotta pretend to be dumb because people who don't wish to test their intellect will resent you for it. Or, you know, you pick any other attribute that someone might have. And for me, it's always been the sense of wonder of our world and connection with it, and always feeling supported by it, always feeling supported by the earth, and the magic happening, not when I want it, but when I needed it the most. The magic has come through. That you know, like the great spirit I've always felt to be protected and watched by that. But at the same time, I've always honored our earth and tried to live my life coming from that point. So anyway, I've rambled on enough. I hope this spread inspires some of you, perhaps, if you're like me, either going through menopause or, you know, staring at it, or, you know, perhaps you might even have come through it. There's always some guidance that the cards can offer, and of course you can modify the spread as you wish. For now, thank you so much for being here, and until my next video, take care. Ooh, I just had a thought about the one card that really didn't make much sense. What am I reclaiming? I'm reclaiming my own space, right? Because each of these people are doing like their own thing, and that's okay. It's okay to not go with everyone. That's how I'm seeing it. It just hit me as soon as I finished the video. You know, what am I reclaiming? Yeah. And that leads to change, right? Number 5, number of change. But I'm carrying my own torch, I'm carrying my own fire, right? Each of these people have got their own torch and their own fire, and it's okay for me to go my own way, to do my own thing. Something that will take a bit of work on. But hey, I'm absolutely ready, willing, and prepared for that. Okay, thank you.